Hey, fantastic folks, welcome back to another episode of Controversialism by Ankur Bhuya. Today, we are going to talk about the wealth inequality in India. So, that is going to be the topic for today. So, let's get on with it. Okay. So, the cost of inequality in India is a stark reflection of a country with a deep dichotomy in wealth. According to a report from Money Control, the shares of income and wealth of India's top 1% are at their highest levels in history. The income of the top 1% makes up 22.6% of the country's total income. Additionally, the percentage share of the top 1% in India's total wealth stands at 40.1%, surpassing even developed economies such as the United States. This data is supported by a paper released by the World Inequality Lab. Astonishingly, India now experiences more inequality than during the British rule. In simple terms, an income of above 25,000 places you in the top 10% of the country, and earning a little over 1 lakh per month puts you amongst the top 1%. There are many reasons for this disparity, which will be discussed in the latter part of the session. According to an Oxfam report, the poor died during COVID while the rich got richer. The report argued that the current state of global extreme inequality is a form of economic violence against the world's poorest people and nations. The 10 richest men in the world doubled their fortunes during the pandemic, while the income of 99% of humanity fell. The report published in 2022 stated that a new billionaire is minted every 26 hours, as inequality contributes to the death of one person every 4 seconds. The top 10 men doubled their fortune from $700 billion to $1.5 trillion at a rate of $15,000 every second, or 1.3 billion a day during the first 2 years of the pandemic. It is hard to believe that it is acceptable to let poor men, women, and children die, while some of the richest capitalists line their pockets with government subsidies and a corrupted tax system. From Adam Smith's perspective of free market economics, the common working men and women are the backbone of the economy, since they produce goods and purchase them with their income, completing a cycle. However, the high net worth individuals have created an elite class of their own by pooling their collective wealth, which flows within a small ecosystem of the rich and powerful. Profit is the center and arguably the sole incentive of a business. But this generation of income goes directly to the capitalist and the banks, while a paltry sum considered chump change goes to the majority. India was originally based on the foundation of socialism. The Indian Constitution includes several provisions that emphasize the equal distribution of resources and the welfare state. These provisions are mainly found in the preamble, the directive principles of state policy, and certain fundamental rights. 3 principles of the Constitution are vital for equality amongst citizens. In terms of justice, it has to be social, economic, and political. Equality of status and opportunity, and fraternity, which assures the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. Article 38 of the DPSP recommends that the state minimize inequalities in income and eliminate inequalities in status, facilities, and opportunities. However, the top 1% of Indians own more than 40.5% of the country's wealth, while the bottom 50% hold on to just 3%, according to a study by Drishti IAS. Taking the Dharavi slum as an example, it is unjustifiable that 700,000 to 1 million people live in an area about 2.1 square kilometers. The living conditions here are appalling, with overcrowding being a way of life. Amenities like clean water, sanitation, and electricity are often inadequate. Sanitation and health are crucial issues, with many residents relying on communal toilets, leading to hygiene issues and health problems such as infectious diseases. During the monsoons, water overflows from drains and seeps into homes, creating a breeding ground for pathogens and insects. Despite their entrepreneurial spirit, many residents have limited access to formal education and secure employment opportunities, trapping them in a cycle of poverty. In contrast, a building like Antilia, a 27-story skyscraper mansion, stands nearby. Its height is comparable to a 60-story building due to high ceilings and large floor areas, over 400,000 square feet, in fact. Antilia boasts amenities such as a fully equipped health spa, multiple swimming pools, a ballroom, yoga and dance studios, gym, a 50-seat private theatre, lounges, and a vast library. Managing one of the richest homes in India requires 600 people. That is the estimate size of the staff at Antilia. And it is estimated to cost between 1 billion to 2 billion, making it one of the most expensive properties in the world. At this point, Article 38 seems to have lost its significance. Article 39 of the Indian Constitution directs the state to formulate policies that secure adequate means of livelihood for all citizens and ensure that ownership and control of the material resources of the community are so distributed as to subserve the common good. It is also stated that operation of the economic system should not result in the concentration of wealth and means of production to the common detriment of the general population. In a country where earning $25,000 a month puts you in the top 10%, it is evident that wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few families. Generational wealth ensures that prosperity and opportunities remain within few families. Those without such wealth must build their empire from scratch. This change can be brought about by access to education and opportunities. Article 41 of the Constitution directs that the state shall, within its economic capacity and development, make effective provisions for securing the right to work, education, and public assistance in case of unemployment. According to a UNESCO report, India's spending on education has typically ranged between 3% to 4% of GDP over the past decades, lower than the recommended 6% by most educational experts. In the Union Budget 2023-24, the Indian government allocated about 1.1 lakh crore, which is approximately $14.2 billion, to the education sector, constituting around 2.9% of the total budget, amounting to roughly 3.1% of GDP. Apart from rampant diversion of funds for personal gain, the public school system in India is decades behind global standards. Even though the right to education has been introduced and midday meals attract students from the lower strata of society, the conditions of the average public school in India is pathetic. Many children from low-income families are forced to drop out of school to support their families financially. According to a 2018 UNESCO report, India has one of the highest rates of child labor, directly affecting attendance and completion rates. Improving the state of education in India is paramount, since the best way to combat poverty is through education. However, several limiting factors exist. The Ministry of Education's 2019 report stated that 22% of schools in India did not have a functional toilet for girls. 56% of schools do not have electricity, and many lack access to clean drinking water. Classes are overcrowded, with the teacher to student ratio being 60:1 or higher. Many schools are in poor condition, with inadequate classrooms, leaking roofs, and unsafe conditions. 25% of teachers are absent, and only 50% of those present are engaged in teaching. Learning outcomes are poor. According to the Annual Status of Education Report 2018, only 50% of 5th graders in rural India could read at a second grade level, and only 44.2% could do basic arithmetic. The curriculum in public schools is outdated and not aligned with the current needs and skills required in the job market, making education less relevant for students. Thus, the nation neglects the most vital factor that can lift people out of poverty. The global average spending on education is 4.9% of GDP, with developed nations spending 6.2%. We must consider how fortunate most of us are to have the chance to study. Even if a child from low-income family makes it to college, they face the problem of funding their education. Members of the elite and high net worth individuals do not have these problems, as they can simply pay to reserve a seat in the most prestigious institutions, mostly abroad. Even if a student secures a scholarship, they face the challenge of unemployment. Let me take government data of these facts. So as of May 2023, the national average unemployment rate was approximately 7.1% according to the Center for Monitoring the India Economy, which is CMIE. Among youth, the Periodic Labour Force Survey 2020-2021 reported that the unemployment rate among those aged 15 to 29 was about 22.9% in urban areas and 13.3% in rural India. Amongst graduates, the situation is worse, indicating a mismatch between educational outcomes and job search or market needs. Chronic unemployment is a persistent issue with overemployment in the agricultural sector and a mismatch of skills in the manufacturing and service industries. For candidates from low-income households, even securing education means competing in a job market skewed by nepotism, where the well-connected get first priority. Youth turning to entrepreneurship face challenges in securing loans from banks, making it a distant dream for unemployed youth to acquire capital. Initiatives like the Mudra scheme exist, but the funds released are inadequate to operate on a significant scale. The rich do not face this problem. Peer-to-peer or P2P loans are available, and they have easier access to collateral for bank loans. The rich have created a private elite economy operating in a closed environment. Automation reduces operational investment, leading to layoffs in the market. High net worth individuals trade amongst themselves with no obligation towards common men and women. Earlier, company workers used to be the customers, but that is no longer the case as a private economy for the rich has emerged in recent times. It takes money to make money, and financial backing makes all the difference. The rich invest in assets, investment funds, mutual funds, and traditional financial instruments, making their money work for them and increasing their net worth. Soon, we could see the emergence of the world's first trillionaire. This is a travesty of justice and a violation of basic human rights, dignity, and the Constitution. Social media acts like an intoxicant, keeping our attention focused on irrelevant things. It seems mediocrity is the trend now. The rich will continue to pull strings, influencing politicians and state policies for their benefit. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. The worst part, an indicator of this wealth dichotomy, can be observed when our fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution are violated. It is a travesty of justice and equitable growth. Article 21, which ensures the right to life and personal liberty, has been thrown out of the window. The Supreme Court ruled that the right to live with dignity is a basic right, but it seems more achievable on paper than in real life. Thank you for your time and attention, fantastic folks. I'll be seeing you soon in the next episode.